Hello, my fellow colonists. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to Going Medieval Tower of Knowledge. Episode 10, A Cold Snap in Our First Winter. What are you even... How? I don't just, okay. You just don't care about anything. Got it. Silly animals. So, what we need for the fences is dirt to lay out the perimeter, and then a little bit of research to get steel tech going. And that's what we're still working on, is this excavation is to obtain the dirt, and then we are, at the moment, working on the research for steel. So this is a way to do two birds with one stone, because that excavation also will benefit the rooms down here as well. What I want to do is I want to like keep the polecats out. The thing is, the polecats are like walking through the doors, so it's just like I don't care at this point. I'll just like kill them when I see them. Polecats will be killed on sight. Ooh, Raveno, it's your birthday! Happy birthday, Raveno! So we're lower on berries. Oh, there's another polecat going right through the door. Oh, actually, it might have gone through the fence. You know what? I'm gonna go nuclear on these things. How much wood do I got? Plenty. Alright. We'll just build a big old wall. I didn't want to focus on the animals. Like, I have half a mind to just, like, kill them all off and be like, yeah, I'm good. I don't need milk or wool, but I won't. I'll try to keep like a breeding pair, but I don't want to be feeding all of the animals in this forest with like animal feed that then we have to work to make, because that's a nuisance. So walling them up, whatever. Hopefully this problem will be solved in a minute. And then the infrastructure down here is clay tile, and eventually we're going to have a great hall in the center. So, given time, a lot of the center of the island will, like, change form anyway. Which will be interesting when we get the chance to work towards that. So the front of our fortress, or island, or whatever you want to call it, is ready. Now that all the landfill around here has been filled for some defenses. I think what I'm going to do is widen it a little bit more. I kind of like the form factor like this. And we'll have sort of like an entryway into it. And the raffle timer's up, and it goes to Dave. If we roped you in. Did we? Wait, where? Maybe we never grabbed you. That's weird. Or maybe you weren't tamed. Oh, yeah. Never mind. I thought we owned you. I just sort of assumed, but clearly we don't. Because here you are. So I'm going to name you. But obviously you're not of our colony yet. So we'll try to tame you. We'll see how that works. Oh, cellar flooded. Okay. This was exactly what I was trying to avoid. So I'm curious where it actually flooded. Yes, that's exactly where I thought it would flood. So the other cellars are proper cellars. Because they were walled up, floored up. And then this part, I had been replacing the soil, but like clearly I just got unlucky and it flooded before I could. So there's a few different ways to solve this. One, you can put a well above it. And I think I actually like that solution. So what I'll do is I'll excavate this out a little bit farther, like here, and then stick a well here, and just like pump the water up. That also means that we're going to need to get the tech for that. So it's yet another project to invest in, which is annoying because there's so many projects that we want to get done for our defense. But, you know, c'est la vie, that's just how it goes. Another way to do this is you could just excavate further down. This obviously is not a solution that would work if you are on the lowest level elevation. But if you want to get rid of the water, because obviously the water is like super decomposing our food, our animal feed, you can just displace the water. You can have it lower. So maybe that's what I'll do right now, is like dig out a pit for the water to sort of seep into. And then eventually, as I excavate the ground, make sure not to have parts of the new excavation be important so that if it did flood, it doesn't matter. Because there you go, the water went there instead of here, and now this isn't super decomposing anymore. But yeah, that was annoying. Okay, settler idle. Who? Raven? There's something to do. How close are we to our research goals? 22 and 0? Okay, so we still have a little ways to go. And now I'm going to work on replacing the walls with bricks so that we don't have yet another flood. I don't want to have to deal with more stupid flooding. What that might mean is it might mean that we'll need to like dig up soil elsewhere to import it, which feels real dumb, but you know, whatever. So right here, I'm going to put like a metal grated platform, which is not watertight, so that water can flow in there in case it does flood again, but it shouldn't now that we're replacing all the soil tiles. But it's good that the good news is we did tackle these rooms here and replace the soil and clay with tile. So the important parts didn't flood. It could have been a lot worse. It really could have been a lot worse. So we avoided a much worse catastrophe as a result. Yeah, doing a bit of a French drain. Exactly. It is about freezing out. I don't know how it's rained in 31.6 Fahrenheit. It's below freezing and raining. But I'll all the more reason to get even more insulating clothing at some point, and to make sure that we're okay with our body temp, because hypothermia is going to start setting in. Our stockroom is 47 to 67, so it's still about 5/7 full. Not a real problem there. Inside, I'm going to raise the intensity of this fire now to medium. It will use more fuel, but it will keep them a little bit warmer at night, so that they don't have slept in the cold mood modifiers. It's obviously easier to do as a shared chamber, because there's only one fire for all of them. But it's worth the fuel. Uh-oh! We had a falling out. Day Sleeper and Klein had an unpleasant conversation. No longer considers each other friends. Alright, so once this is done, we'll have a fully bricked up cellar, and it should prevent any future flooding, and then all the flood water can just be like hidden under this metal grate that we're going to build, so we don't have to worry about it. There we go. Alright, so it should be floodproof now, as far as I know. And this means that we need dirt. And as I feared, we're going to have to grab dirt from, like, the shoreline. So I'm going to start grabbing dirt from this area, just because it's closest to the bridge. And we're going to continue landfilling. I think what I want is to zoom all the way out and forbid all of it. Did the forbidden work? Here we go. And then selectively pick this section that I want done first to be allowed, so that I can complete like a clay brick structure here. All right, for research, one more chronicle and then 5 handbooks, and we'll be able to get what we need to have a formal library, and then we'll get steel and get steel doors and the like. Good. Another merchant. Just by themselves, so probably not a lot of buying power. Can the wall behind the grate flood me? No. It's like not a room, as far as I know. A lone traveler. Day Sleeper, you're up. You're probably elsewhere working on something important, so I apologize for calling you back. Well, they have a single gold coin as well. Yep. Well, the good news is, like, at least it's a way for us to get rid of our saplings that we don't necessarily need. So it's not entirely a bust when they have no carry weight. So I need to buy... let's see. I can buy a stick trap. I'll buy... beet seeds? I don't know if our, I'll buy beet seeds. I don't know if our colonists are getting good enough to be able to sow beets, but I hope so. All right, what's some other... oh, oak saplings. Perfect. Because all the saplings, like, I don't need to hold on to them, and they're just keep taking up room. I'm going to accept this, even though it's at a loss. I don't care. Seal the deal. Day Sleeper, you still sporting a Speechcraft of 9? Yeah, okay, you haven't leveled up. That's fine. You're working on it. Did the new cow get tamed? I don't even know. I haven't been paying attention to that. Domestic. Yes, it did. So Dave's in here, chilling, creating lots of dung bricks for us. Or at least doing the first half of it. And only a few more soil tiles to plop down, and then we'll have a gatehouse. In the gatehouse, let's replace the floors, or put the floors down as brick. For flammability reasons, I don't really need a flammable gatehouse. And there is a height advantage, but I want to scale and scope back the gatehouse at least so that we can make progress on other things elsewhere. Trying to get a perimeter wall I think is going to be really, really handy. And then, you know, steel doors and the like. So for research, we have all the chronicles we need. Now we're just waiting on the handbooks. And then once we have 5 handbooks, we can get what is required for the library designation. Then we'll go for steel. Oh, whoopsie. That's not correct. There we go. Getting rid of the floor had some ramifications. All right, the last of the soil for the initial gatehouse is done. Ah, they're friends again. Nice. And now all of the perimeter soil walls are set to be built. You can see we're slowly removing all the soil on the shoreline. The worry is as they are swimming to do it, because they don't have the presence of mind to like use the shore, they will become possibly hypothermic. Because, you know, we're heading into winter. I might need to select just like a chunk of land here and have it be like an open pit mine. If we have to, we have to. Cicerone turned 26 and became an early bird. All right. What does that leave you with now? You are hot-blooded, vulnerable early bird. Okie dokie. If I have to adjust her sleep schedule to accommodate her early bird, I will. But, we'll see. Wait, where'd I get the... oh, this chicken's being sold. I was like, this isn't my chicken. Is the research priority still below construct? It is. That's probably one of the reasons why Red Mist has been focusing on research. So I'll put Red Mist back on full-time research. So it's not going at a limp pace. Now that it's almost winter, the other thing we might want to consider is before we get like slapped by cold snap, harvesting up anything that hasn't actually like all the growth halted stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Is all the crops here are going to be yoinked because Leaving it on the ground, it's gonna die anyway. So we might as well get what little yield we can get from it before it just dies off on its own. Okay, bye-bye, Society of Fellows. They're obviously one of the factions. We'll eventually have more knowledge of the factions once we have, like, a region map. Region's still a wee bit of a mystery to us. But he's gone. Alright, at present, there is no way to physically get up to the top of this tower, because obviously it's going to be floored up so we can stand on top. So that's another project that we're going to have to do. And the intention that I had was to put staircases like this on either side. And maybe just for the aesthetics, like, put some clay brick wall underneath so it doesn't seem floating. Because, yeah, even these, like, baby cabbages, they're a little bit of food. I don't think food's going to be a problem. We have, like, almost 1,000 cabbage and 150 carrots. And that's a pretty impressive amount of carrots, given that we've only had a plot of, like, 8 for that yield. Chances are we've been making a lot of food out of other and not carrots and saving the carrots as just, like, just stockpiling them, but still. Okay, one more chronicle, and we'll have a library. And who's idle? Cicerone? Alright, Cicerone, I am going to allow you to mine at 5. I actually had everyone be allowed to mine at 5, just because when they're completely idle, they can, like, dig up soil. Because, whatever, if you fail at that, oh well, it's dirt. We'll live. And, I am going to pit mine. Where is Red Mist? She's writing. Done. All right, now that we've got that, library structures, I'm going to raise this up to 15, this up to 30, and we're going to research steel. Focus on defense, build a island perimeter, and steel. Them's the priorities, all written out for you. So now that we have the ability to make a lectern, I don't really care where it goes. I'll just stick it in the corner. But that will allow this room to be designated as a library and increase the research speed as a result. And you can always see the benefits here. So if I mouse over library, research tables have a speed bonus for writing books. We can also have the community role, but I'm not going to do that just yet. Eventually, yes, absolutely, but not quite yet. But that's just so that we can do research quicker. Because we're going to want all those things eventually anyway, so might as well get them now. And then while we are building up the islands for... Well, actually, let's focus on the clay brick needed for this structure. So it seems to me like a lot of the defensive structure's hang-up now is just a lack of clay. So what I might want to do is pivot. I'll mine up the rest of this dirt, but pivot and get clay again. So we can finish the gatehouse defenses. God, it's really hard to... I shouldn't designate clay deposits during the night, because it's hard as hell to tell where clay actually is. Keep misclicking. But yeah, focus on getting the gatehouse built, and then go back to like island perimeter. But between those two projects, I think that will keep us really well protected. It's a huge work investment. It takes a lot of labor to do, but an island that you can swim to invade is not one that is well protected, I would say. And there it goes. We now have a library because of the lectern. So taking a look at that room, we can see that there's a production bonus for books in here. And I'll read the little tidbit about events, because this is relatively new. Certain events can be triggered, like a feast or a sermon at a church or great hall. To launch these events, construct the corresponding room type and then select the structure within it, which is the origin of the event. And the events have conditions and will have varying qualities, varying levels of quality, depending on, you know, how nice the great hall or church or library is, etc., etc. And then some events will also require a roll. So every now and then you'll be visited by like a preacher, and they can trigger events if you yourself don't have that roll present within your own. So there's a feast event, a Eucharist event, ritual event, execution by hanging, study group, and martial training. And we are, of course, going to focus on the study group. The study group is, the knowledge event led by a librarian. It's not something I'm going to do right now because we're waiting. We're focusing on the events, but I did all this because I think getting a dedicated library is going to really help us to do defensive type stuff more quickly. Because, you know, we'll be able to unlock the research required for self-defense rapidly, and then there's a huge benefit for that. Okay. Back to working that gatehouse. Probably enough clay for the gatehouse and more, and then some. And now we are going to be building up the chronicles and the handbooks for steel. Because steel is definitely the metal of choice when you're trying to defend yourself. Iron just doesn't really cut it. Pun unintended. And then once the second level is built, we'll do Surrounding Merlins on the top here. And they can be clay bricked rather than the wooden ones that we had before. Now, there isn't a massive height advantage to a tower only this high, and I get that, and I know about it. It's just, you know, I don't want to design something grand and never get it done and die getting raided. I'd rather have a okay defenses that works than a grand idea way out of scope with what we're capable of currently building and then just get steamrolled by some big raid. I'm also surprised that none of the raids up until now have wanted to negotiate. It's because we just keep, just by bad luck or whatever, we keep getting attacked by the cannibals, which will never negotiate with you, which is normally like you get attacked by a variety of enemies and sometimes you can negotiate and pay them off, and like we just keep getting unlucky. Oop, cannibal again, cannibal again, cannibal again, just over and over and over. It's like, oh, come on, stop hitting me up with cannibals. I can work up to it. Exactly. You know, it's a lofty goal. It will be the height of our defense. But it is quite the tall order to do early on. Sorry, not sorry. Alright, start room's still pretty good. It's not too big, not too small. We could definitely have another floor for stocks if we need another floor. But, yeah. I really wish the game wouldn't be like, hold an event. It's like, I really don't want to, but thank you. Thank you for reminding me. I don't need a reminder. I know how it works. I read the tutorial. If you are heading in your first winter and you're really struggling with food, and obviously I am not in the case where I am, you can still find, like, flowering bramble bushes and berries out here, obviously. And then certainly there's stuff to hunt. So if you find yourself in like winter day 2 or 3 and you're like, oh my God, I have no food, get on it. Start fishing before things freeze, start hunting immediately. You're going to want to stockpile it because there's certainly like a lot of berries out here that are just like chilling here. And what ends up happening is if you wait on this, as you can see, perfect example, food becomes more scarce and more scarce and more scarce the deeper in the winter you go. So the slower you are to harvest this stuff while it's ripe, the more likely it will go to, the more likely it will go to a wild animal instead. And you'll lose the opportunity. And it's relatively the same way for RimWorld too. Where in RimWorld, if you sleep on wild crops and you don't have a lot of like local stuff to farm, you just like run out of food. Because the animals eat all of the berries and aloe or agave present on the map tile. So we've got about a third of the research, or a quarter of the research that we need for steel. It is still a little weird that we're making, we don't really have a crafting room for this stuff, but it's not a big deal. Oh, and the first snow. Now, the other thing to check in on is, are we staying warm in here? So we can open up the temperature overlay and peek into the room. So in this room, it's like 50 Fahrenheit. I am going to have this be high intensity now that it's winter. So it warms up to like 58, which is kind of comfortable to sleep in. I don't really know what the threshold is for the ponds, but I called them ponds. But a freezer, of course, is like properly frozen. Just about. It's like less than a degree higher than freezing. Raveno got more devout because it got cold. That's funny. And it's a cold snap, so it's about to get super, super, super cold. Now, there is research related to ice. You can harvest ice and then use ice to cool down rooms. Ice making. But ice making is not necessarily something I'm going to like rush towards right now because we're focusing on defense. But just letting you know that the ice making does exist and allows you to pour water from like a well into ice molds and let it freeze, and then you'll have ice to cool your food for your cellars for the summers. Pretty handy stuff. All right. One thing that I think is going to be obvious is suffering from the cold. Yes. So we are going to need to, now that we have like a cold snap out of nowhere, warm people up. And I think I'm going to like dump this sewing station here so that we can at least sew inside. Actually, inside it's way colder than outside. Actually, is that true? No, outside it's 8 degrees. Yeah, no, it's pretty cold everywhere. To get more hats, because mining in an open pit, mining the clay, being far away from the colony's core, obviously we're going to run into a lot of like temperature problems as people are going to get really cold during this cold snap, because this cold snap, to put it in relation with Celsius, it's like roughly negative 12 or 13 Celsius on the map tile at the moment, maybe even a little bit colder. So having flimsy clothing is just not going to cut it. I will also probably change where the crops are sown by springtime, so I'm going to remove the plots, but possibly rely on you guys to remind me that I need to put the plots back. Oh, Joker got obliterated by a wolf. Sorry, Joker. Some of that, so if you're wondering how to avoid this, part of it is like wolves shouldn't be on the island, and if we had the perimeter wall built, it would not be an issue. And part of it is wild animals will be thwarted if there's like torches nearby. Wild animals will not encroach on you if it's torch lit, but we don't have a lot of external torches, so that's why. And yeah, I had yeah, so we held the corpse so it didn't gain anything. Which one was it? Wildlife. Wolf. I don't even remember. Yeah, during medieval periods, most construction would stop during the winter. Yes. Not. Well, it's not quite that realistic, at least. Alright, suffering from cold does not surprise me. So this would be one, like Klein is definitely the peak contender. Oh, no, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. For, oh, what are you doing now? Okay, you just gonna ignore me entirely. Cool. Peak contender for, getting warmer clothing. Now, fortunately, we do have a warm bedroom. It's not that warm, but it's a warmer bedroom. And that allows us to at least heat up a little bit around home. So, here, we're going to start making caps. And I'm going to make caps until we have 2. And then I'm going to put the winter clothing back until we have 2 as well. For now, I am not going to change their priority that we... like the quality the quality controls. I don't care about the quality of the caps. But eventually that will be the case, where I will shred anything that's flimsy or sturdy and only wear, like, good or better. Fine or better. But these caps should help a little bit with the temperature, hopefully. Will the wolves start hunting the ponds? Probably not, no. Okay, tailoring caps. So the gatehouse is majority done. There's just a little bit more clay tiles to bake it fully. And someone, I think, donned the cap already. Nope, not that one. Definitely not that one. That's about to decay. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, you just wore it for yourself. Yes. Got it. I do like the, like, snowy desire paths. So, yeah, more are finding coal is a problem. Got it. I'm working on it. Ciceron's not great at tailoring yet. A lowly 11. So it's going to be a minute before the quality caps come off the line. You like the ambient sound? Yeah, it's really nice. It's definitely one of those things that I typically will listen for, like sound design. Some games are just, they sound awful. They're like aggressive, even. They're really harsh to listen to. I really super notice when it's like a bad soundtrack and it's just either like a bad soundtrack that loops tightly or sound that's really out of place. Kind of reminds me of the tracks playing Vintage Story that sound like circus music, and you're just like, why? All your other songs are great. And then there's this like one circus song that I absolutely loathe. It's hard to have like a flawless soundtrack start to finish, I think. It's a lot to ask for. Windrose's music is great. Yeah, that's one where you can leave it on. Now, I wish Windrose had a little bit more instrumentals with the sea shanties, sort of the way Sea of Thieves did it, but like even then, as it is, it's great. And for reference, I'll be playing that as a marathon tomorrow, which is why that might be relevant. So what's the temperature? Oh, what's the temperature in down here now? Because one of the things that will happen is your clay brick stuff is insulated both from heat and cold. So actually, it's even with one torch, it's 40 degrees in our library, where it's like 8 degrees outside. It's way warmer because this has pretty good thermal properties as a result. It's also not ugly either. So it's a huge advantage to building, because like this wooden cabin has terrible thermal insulation properties as a result of the way I built it. And as a consequence, even with a burning, roaring, intense brazier, it's keeping just a little bit warmer than the library. And if the library had like an intense brazier, it would be like piping hot. It'd probably be uncomfortable. Thank you for tuning in to Going Medieval Tower of Knowledge, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow colonists.